Hello, everybody. Big business. Cold Lunch brings you to the top of the hour here at KRFF 95.9, LPFM, Moorhead, Fargo, radiofreefargo.org. It's streaming wherever in the world you are. You can listen to it there. You can donate. You can tell your friends. radiofreefargo.org. I got a variety of programming, as you'll hear, as I described Thursday. Right before me, Side Stage with Trav, 1 to 3. Then you got Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Me, talking about cannabis legalization. Talking about the benefits of cannabis. Talking about progress that states are making towards cannabis legalization. And I don't know if anybody knows, but this is Christmas Eve's Eve. And so I've got a little Christmas story I'm going to read for you guys. It involves Snoop and Santa. So we got that coming up at 4:20, where I open a big fat bag of cannabis news. And this Thursday's no different. Right after me, Stinky Arts Music Mart, Locals on the 8, Radio Madness. Black Ring Ritual wraps up your Thirsty Thursday, as some people call it. I call it the day before Christmas Eve. I'm pretty stoked about it. I head out of town tomorrow. Going to go to Dickinson, where freedom still exists. And I'm going to spend Christmas with the kid and the dog. And I'm going to make bison chili with steak tips also. That's kind of a new spin. I don't know how many people put steak tips in their chili. I know they will grind up like sirloin or whatever as hamburger. But to sear tips and to have them kind of floating around in the bison burger, oh boy. But anyway, enough about me. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson again. We talk an hour worth of cannabis legalization. Indy for Freedom of Cannabis Act is the petition being circulated. The deadline is January 22nd. Word on the street says there's about 30% signatures got, so that's about 11,000. So, I mean, I suck at math, but basically 1,000 or so signatures needed a day to get that number. So I don't know. I mean, I like to be optimistic, but I mean, truthfully, we're going to get 1,000 a day. So realistically, it's not going to happen, and an effort's always being put in, and it's always about getting help and the amount of work. And South Dakota is like a template. Nebraska, I mean, they've had money, they've had senators, they've had hundreds of thousands of people. And yet they still forage ahead as, with losses, with every variety of, plan of attack, constitutional amendment measures, ballot initiatives, legislative created ballot initiatives. And it's just slow going. So state of North Dakota, reach out to your legislators, get loud, be proud. And hopefully, we have cannabis legalization in our future. This show is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy, blackcottagealchemy.com, Black Cottage Alchemy on Facebook, odd stands in West Fargo, or right downtown here in the beautiful heart of Fargo, North Dakota. There's a little store called Tochi Products. If you're not staring at a trippy store, you at the wrong place. They got the ND for Freedom of Cannabis Act petition also in there to sign, but they have this body butter, which is made with kosher, full-spectrum CBD, 1,600 mgs of CBD just to get you rocking. Mango butter, shea butter, cocoa butter, the beeswax, coconut oil, colloidal silver, turmeric, arnica, comfrey, myrrh, frankincense, sage, and rosemary. It's good for neuropathy, pain, inflammation, radiation and chemo burns, and so much more. Anti-itching, all over soothing. So thank you, Black Cottage Alchemy, for sponsoring this Thursday's Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. At 4:20, we open a big fat bag of cannabis news. It's 420 degrees here in the studio. I'm dressed appropriately. I hope everybody else is too. I'm full of the holiday spirit. I hope everybody else is as well. I believe cannabis was created by the very person who's born here in a few days. I believe God himself, a.k.a. Jesus, made cannabis for our benefits, for however we see fit. I show him props at Antioch Church Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. However, this Sunday I will be at New Life Pentecostal Church in Dickinson. I believe also at 10 a.m. So if you're in the Dickinson area, you want to come, shout out God for for creating such an awesome plant. I'll be there doing the same. And if not, Merry Christmas to everybody and a Happy New Year. I'll be back next Thursday, which will be right before New Year's Eve. So again, I talk about cannabis legalization, the benefits of cannabis, and I'm going to do that this Thursday, 4:20. That's what we're sitting inside of right now. 1 to 3, Side Stage with Trav before me. 4 to 5, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. That's with me. Right after me, Stinky Arts Music Mart, Locals on the 8, Radio Madness, and Radio Free, or Black Ring Ritual. All right. So, Orange Records, Indie for Freedom of Cannabis Act petition. Still support, I don't want to be the damper that says it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Still get out there and do it, of course. But if you need 21 more thousand in 20 some odd days, just, tell me how I'm crazy to think that's not going to happen. Because I think you got to be on crack to think that's going to happen. And you got your head way up in some sort of false reality if you think that can happen. But if I'm wrong, well, by gum, I'll be the first one on my show to come on and say, I'm an idiot. I should have never said 20,000 in 20 days is unattainable. And I'll be like, well, that's crazy of me. I should have been more positive. But until then, I'm going to take the neutrality kind of logistics, and I just don't see it happening at all. But for those of you who put in the work, and for those of you that are kind of like old horses to the barn, we salute you. South Dakota, keep rocking. Looks like they'll have all their signatures to get it on the ballot. And we'll talk about that at 4:20. Instagram, Canna-Talk ND. I'll put this out minus the music. Usually on Sunday around noon or so. I'll post that up on Instagram so you guys know. And if you listen to these podcast platforms, one that's named The Fruit, the other one's got pot in it. I would rather you support local radio and listen to this on radiofreefargo.org or locally at KRFF 95.9. But if you can't, I want everybody to listen to content regarding cannabis legalization. So listen to it wherever you got to. Here's Scent of Dark, Tony Iommi. Pretty stoked about this. It's the guitarist from Black Sabbath, KRFF. Yowza, Scent of Dark, brand new Tony Iommi guitarist for Black Sabbath. He's like, I think, 275 years old. That's a brand new single. Again, Scent of Dark, Tony Iommi. And again, it's kind of like a dark Christmas song, I felt like. Like, it kind of had kind of a, like a Black Santa, if he cut himself on the weekends. KRFF 95.9 LPFM, Moorhead, Fargo, radiofreefargo.org. We're streaming this bad boy wherever you're living. You can tap in. Right before me, Side Stage with Trab, 1 to 3, 4 to 5, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. We talk about cannabis, legalization. We talk about the benefits of cannabis. We talk about general, this week in weed. I hate saying that word because but again, it's got a kind of a nice ring to it. And that's what I do. I pick news that isn't 2 weeks old. Isn't 3 weeks old. I pick cannabis news that's 1 week old. Then I blow out some commentary, 420. Intermix it with some jams. If you haven't listened before, I thank you for checking it out. Right after me is Stinky Arts Music Mart. Locals on the 8. Radio Madness. Black Ring Ritual. There goes my buddy, the UPS man. How you doing, buddy? You can't see me, but I can see you. Looking good. Anyway, Indie for Freedom of Cannabis Act. It's going to wrap up January 22nd. If you haven't gotten your signature on a petition, get one in. Orange Records, Tochi Products, Smokey's House of Pipes, IndieCannabisCaucus.com to find out where in your town you can get that signed. Again, 30% of the signatures at this guy's speaking. Currently, 20,000 left. So just wrap your brain around that. January 22nd is December 23rd. So again, cannabis. We need something done. And again, when it comes with, and here's what I've noticed, like cannabis legalization in all the other states changes how things are in states that aren't. Now, you would say, well, cops are looking forward to the uptick in the amount, and so they'll be harsher. Not true. I mean, there's been decrims. I mean, Fargo won't put you in jail for a certain amount. Trust me, I know. Now, South Dakota may have changed things, but they were the last state that sucked. I mean, if they'd get a warrant for you to pee in a cup, and if you blew dirty from the trip you spent in Vegas, you're going to jail. That's essentially what happened to me. So outside of, South Dakota, and again, the other thing is the product. I mean, when you've got Oregon growing so much, and you've got all these states with excess, you don't think people are putting it in their trunks and coming to Fargo or Valley City? So if you've got people that are now comfortable because of the influx of cannabis and products, and people have been doing it even though it's been illegal for many years, forever, since the 30s. So people are getting less scared and less concerned because it isn't bad and it should be legal. So there becomes this, well, why should we fight for its legality when I got a guy that drives in from, Oklahoma every other week and takes care of my needs? Why put myself out there when it's more flexible, the prices are down? It's kind of harder to fight for the injustice when you're not struggling, And so that's what saddens me mostly about the vets, but we're making progress. But anyway, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Every Thursday I get in here, we open a big fat bag of cannabis news at 420. I've got a brand new cover by Golden Boots. It's Alan Parsons' Eye in the Sky. We're going to listen to this, and then we'll come back around, and we'll do Canna-Talk ND with Wilson at 420. But this hour of music on 95.9 KRFF LP Radio Free Fargo is being underwritten by Orange Records. Orange Records offers a variety of new and used music on vinyl and CDs, as well as a large selection of posters, DVDs, and much more. Orange Records buys used vinyl, CDs, and cassettes. Orange Records is located at 641 1st Avenue North in downtown Fargo. They are open noon to 6:30 Monday through Saturday and are closed on Sundays. Now, I think there might be a winter schedule, and that might be a little different on Monday. I'm not sure. Search Orange Records Fargo on Facebook for updates on new arrivals and special events. Shout out Orange Records. And again, they have the Indie for Freedom Cannabis Act petition there if you want to get in there, buy some vinyl, and sign for cannabis legalization. Here's Eye in the Sky, Golden Boots. Well, bravo to Golden Boots. Eye in the Sky, Alan Parsons cover. That's brand new. And that's awesome here on KRFF 95.9, radiofreefargo.org. We're streaming. It's time to get our Canna-Talk ND with Wilson on. So we're going to play the intro, just like we always do, here on KRFF 95.9.
Yo, it's Wilson from Canna-Talk ND. The super awesome show you're getting ready to listen to. I think you should go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll wait. Okay, enjoy the show.
Blah, 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 blah. What up, everybody? We're going to cut it short because I went over a little bit, but it's my show. I can do what I want. Welcome, everybody. Thanks, Larry, for showing up. Two twin sisters showed up. Welcome. Everybody, get in here. We're going to talk about cannabis. We're going to talk about cannabis legalization, the benefits. I'm going to keep it kind of holidizzle, I guess. I don't know if everybody's celebrating Festivus, but happy Festivus to the rest of us. And if you're not sure what that is, well, I don't even feel like you're cool enough for me to tell you. Because if you don't know about Festivus for the rest of us, you don't belong with us. You ain't the rest of us. Just kidding. But Google Festivus, Seinfeld, and you'll know what's up. And so anyway, during this made-up holiday, unless it's real to you, then en garde touche, is the airing of grievances. And on the Cannabis Moment, Rand Paul mocks Democrats for failing to pass cannabis baking an annual Festivus grievances list. So, he marked the Seinfeld popularized holiday with an airing of grievances that includes slamming Dems for failing to advance cannabis baking reform. And I mean banking reform, but baking is kind of the same thing, you know what I'm saying? Despite having a congressional majority in control of the presidency. This is at least the fifth time that Paul has talked about cannabis in his annual Twitter thread when it comes to the Festivus. Democrats control the House, Senate, and White House, and we still can't get cannabis banking reform bills passed, he wrote. Referencing the Bipartisan Secure and Fair Enforcement Banking Act, the SAFE Act. That bill has cleared the House in some form 5 times. But disagreement among Dems over marijuana policy priorities derailed the latest attempt to pass it as part of a large-scale defense bill. Senator Rand Paul said this should be a complete no-brainer, as so many states have legalized now, and we need businesses to operate. And he said he would go much further and end the federal war on a plant entirely. Rand Paul, my dog. But at least let's let legal businesses operate as legal businesses. Again, it probably doesn't help that the two Dem leaders are almost as old as the movie Reefer Madness, he said, and clearly gave it 2 thumbs up when they watched it. He was talking about, Chucky and Nancy. And so the war on cannabis is among the many dumb things Congress does, but it's by no means the dumbest, he wrote. Every year, hundreds of billions of your dollars are wasted. Shout out Rand Paul. Cannabis Moment. We got a little something. Congressional analysis finds veterans' cannabis research bill would come at a little cost. A bill to require the VA to conduct clinical trials would have a negligible fiscal impact. However, just as when the agency issued its last analysis CBO pointed to ongoing cannabis studies and expects that those efforts would satisfy the bill's requirement for research, even though it's not clear exactly actually the case. The bill, sponsored by Representative Lou Correa, cleared the Veterans Affairs Committee. Earlier versions were approved by the panel. It would mandate that the department launch a series of studies using cannabis to treat PTSD and chronic pain. Specifically, it pointed to several studies examining risks and benefits of using cannabis to treat PTSD and chronic pain. One that was previously referenced in the score of the earlier bill evaluates the effects of cannabis use among 136 patients. However, text of the legislation itself indicates that the ongoing study would not satisfy its research requirements for several reasons. First, the cited study only covers PTSD. The bill mandates that they should conduct trials not just into PTSD, but also on chronic pain. Second, the bill calls for studies involving multiple cannabis forms and varieties. They look just exclusively at synthetic CBD. So let's see, CBO said it would cost less than $500,000 between 2022 and 2026 for VA to comply with the reporting requirements, including in the bill. Such spending would be subject to the availability of appropriated funds. Now, I think I just said a bunch of political blah, blah, blah. I have no idea what I just said. So I don't know if the VA is getting love or not. But, again, nothing makes me angrier than vets going to bed without medicine that would benefit them from the horrors of the wars that we let them do so we can be safe here and fill our faces with the places that's got, you know the food. Stuff our fat faces with donuts and biscuits while they're over there, hadn't eaten in days, tucked in a hole, watching, minor children being destroyed, and there's nothing they can do about it. They get all up in their heads, and they come back here, and us fatties full of donuts can't let them use something that helps them benefit? What's wrong with us? What's wrong with America? What's wrong with our medical, practitioners? What's wrong with the VA hospital that is so determined to not give relief to our vets who provide us the freedoms and the benefits to make poor choices while they're over there doing it? You know what I mean? It's crazy. So anyway, this is another cannabis moment. Cannabis Group helps thousands of California hospitals get ready for patient access under new law, which this is exciting. Basically, if you're a medical card holder in the state of California and you've got to get your appendix out, guess what gets to go with you? Cannabis. So let's read a little bit of this. The advocacy group on Tuesday announced a push to ensure that all California medical facilities are prepared for the implementation of a new law requiring them to permit certain patients to use cannabis while in their care, which is slang for in the hospital. Gavin Newsom signed the legislation known as Ryan's Law, a.k.a. as Wilson's Law. I made that part up after the patient who inspired the reform back in September. Now Americans for Safe Access is working to give hospitals, doctors, and patients the resources they need to understand the policy and get into compliance. ASA will serve as both as an educational source for relevant facilities and a watchdog for cases of noncompliance. To that end, it distributed an implementation guide to more than 2,000 healthcare facilities. It is our hope that these resources will help the facilities implement this important law for our patients. In our watchdog capacity, they'll be monitoring to ensure statewide compliance. You get on them, ASA. So Senate Bill 311 into law. That's exciting. He vetoed an earlier version in 2019 because he thought there'd be potential federal implications, but he was apparently convinced to move forward this year, and I shout out to him. Reps from both the Department of Health and the Governor's Office both reached out to the bill sponsor to say that they are aware of the issue and looking into it. So anyway, is working with doctors and nurses in the other 49 states get Ryan's laws passed nationwide. Holla at you, boy. Well, that's good news. And again, anything working towards, primarily the VA. I would say that's my passion. Getting PTSD combat vets that's got their heads screwed up and they're trying to pump them full of, pharmaceuticals and not let them use what they would choose to use that doesn't have any ill effects. And what I always say, the only side effect to cannabis is that you might feel good. And all the other drugs, you take them to feel good, and then the side effects are all kinds of nasty stuff. Cannabis, it does everything good, but there's a side effect, and you might feel good. So come on. I mean, Why is that so hard? Cannabis moment. Iowa Democrats announced plan to let voters decide on cannabis legalization amid GOP resistance. This sounds pretty cool. Iowa Democrats are done waiting for the GOP. They announced they will soon be introducing a constitutional amendment, which is the first time that I know that legislators have announced an introduction of a constitutional amendment. In North Dakota, they fight it. South Dakota, they fight it stupid hard. Idaho, I think they were blowing up buildings. They were fighting against it. Senators Joe Balcom, Janet Peterson, and Sarah Trone-Garriott unveiled the plan during a virtual briefing, emphasizing that since conventional legislative measures to end have so far stalled, the new approach is necessary. Of course it's necessary. The effort will center on putting a constitutional amendment on the ballot, but in order to do it, the General Assembly will need to pass the proposal twice during two separate sessions. It also means that the Republican-controlled legislature will need to get on board. Bolcom told Cannabis Moment in a phone interview that the plan is to pass the measure during the 100-day session. It starts next month and then again in 2023. The senator said it's a jump ball, and we're trying to ascertain that at the moment. Legislative leaders and the governor have maintained staunch opposition, and it's partly the reason that even Iowa's medical cannabis program is especially limited compared to other states. So it's let Iowa voters decide an Iowa constitutional amendment to regulate cannabis like alcohol, which is wild. So as we thought about how to make progress on cannabis regulation, we thought maybe there would be some interest in putting this before the voters. Of course there is. You don't need to decide. You can let the voters decide. Well, amen. Gimmicks like a constitutional amendment on rec cannabis do a better job of illustrating the lack of ideas Senate Democrats have to solve the problem of Iowans than any response I have, says this idiot Brad, that he has no intention of moving any cannabis legalization through his panel. Well, what an idiot. Well, the text of cannabis proposal is still being finalized. The supporters want to keep it short. We just think it's time to give voters a voice in the conversation. They've been left out. And they've been put in, and they still mess with it. So, you know what I'm saying? Here we go, MaryJane.com. Thailand is going to completely legalize adult-use plant-based cannabis in 2022. I was going to mention last week Malta was, voting it in, and Malta is in the EU. So it's Europe is now legal. Next year, Thailand plans to legalize the cultivation, processing, sale, and use of all parts of the plant. Just 4 years after becoming the first Southeast Asian country to legalize medical cannabis, it's making moves to legalize it all. Last week, the Thai government revised its narcotics code to acknowledge that cannabis and hemp roots, leaves, and stems are not illegal. And next year, officials will expand this policy even further by completely removing all parts of the plant, including the flower, from its list of banned narcotics. Well, that boys. What we have achieved so far is to declare that cannabis stems, roots, leaves, and sprigs are not drugs, says Anutin Charnvirakul, who's Thailand's deputy prime minister and its public health minister. Starting next year, we'll remove everything from the narcotics list: roots, stems, leaves, buds, flowers, seeds. Thailand initially legalized cannabis medically at the end of 2018. Local officials or hospitals were already taking delivery of legal full extract CBD oil. 2019, Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha showed his support for the program by publicly puffing on a medical pot vape, and a local university created Asia's first legal weed strain, Isara 01. In the following year, officials legalized the production of hemp-infused food, drinks, cosmetics. Under the country's current laws, businesses can obtain licenses to cultivate cannabis for medical, but home growers are also allowed to grow their own and sell it directly to the government. Wow. Cultivation is strictly monitored, though, and all flowers and buds must be removed at harvest. These buds are either set aside for medicinal use or research, or destroyed immediately, or work their way into the hands of a guy named Stody Seed. Thai police can still arrest anyone who tries to sell legally grown cannabis for rec use, but the government's new plan will begin to relax this prohibition. The new law will allow Thai citizens to grow, process, sell, and use. For non-medical, government officials hope that a thriving legal cannabis industry will boost the country's economy and make Thailand Southeast Asia's leading pot tourist destination. Well, shout out. Okay, here we go. This is MaryJane.com as well. Minnesota's new CBD ban threatens local law-abiding hemp businesses. So I just kind of read this, and I'm not really sure what we're talking about here. But I do know that CBD was in all kinds of stuff. You could get CBD gummies, and our underwriter, like the Galleria in Moorhead, I'm sure they're affected by this. So let's read a little bit. One local CBD business said they'd have to pull 85% of their products from the shelves. This is by Chris Moore, December 22nd. Minnesota hemp businesses are gearing up to push back against confusing state regulations that ban CBD tinctures, hemp edibles, and other popular products. Minnesota Cannabis Association, an advocacy group representing local hemp and medical cannabis companies, discovered the full extent of the state's extreme cannabis rules. At the meeting, a rep from the state DOA told MCA board member that all CBD tinctures are illegal in Minnesota. Like most states, Minnesota legalized the cultivation and production of industrial hemp in 2019 following the passage of the Farm Bill. And this has been a problem out the gate with Delta 8 and I don't know. What a mess. This federal law explicitly states that all industrial hemp, including all the cannabis plants, derivative extracts, cannabinoids, isomers, blah, 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 as long as they have a delta 9 THC of 0.3 or less. Minnesota State hemp law copied this language verbatim, suggesting that all low THC hemp-derived cannabinoids, including CBD, are fully legal in the state. The FDA has not released regulations for these products, however, which means that all CBD-infused foods are technically illegal. And since cannabinoids can't legally be sold in food, Minnesota decided to place these items under the jurisdiction of the State Board of Pharmacy. This agency took a very narrow interpretation of the federal hemp guidelines and decided to ban all consumable products. Losers. This effectively makes CBD-infused foods, drinks, and even commonplace CBD tinctures illegal in Minnesota. Under these strict regulations, the only legal hemp products are topical CBD lotions, salves, raw flour, and hemp seed oil, which does not contain CBD or THC. We disagree with their interpretation based on federal guidelines, said Brown, who's a co-owner of a hemp retail store. He says he's going to have to pull 85% of his stuff. In order to fully comply with the state's strict rules, other hemp businesses would also have to stop selling many popular products. This would prevent the majority of these businesses from turning a profit, could eventually destroy the state's entire hemp industry. So I don't know what happened, but CBD products are legal under the state's cannabis program medically, but businesses that want to grow hemp for medical purposes must apply for a state medical cannabis license. Licenses are steep, though. Costs of complying with state medical put this option out of reach for many farmers. Several local Native American tribes have been able to skirt Minnesota's excessive cannabis regulations by establishing their own medical cannabis programs. Since these sovereign nations are not subject to state law, they must sell high THC cannabis flower, CBD tinctures, and other products that are otherwise prohibited in the state. So, wow. And now we're to story time. This is a Christmas story. This is from MaryJane.com. Published December 22nd. Sharon Letts. It is The Adventures with Santa and Snoop. And I wish I had some kind of background music playing, but if I did, I wouldn't be able to put this out on YouTube because of the songy stuff. So just imagine you guys are in your little sweaters. You guys have all kind of kicked back. 80% of you are chilling. Zone into my voice. We're going to talk about adventures with Santa and Snoop. Santa touches down in Los Angeles to share some dank knowledge with the dog. Santa steered the sled south, across the Los Angeles sky, over Burbank, Glendale, and Pasadena, along the foothills of Angeles National Forest. Steady as we go, Rudolph, he called to the leader of the pack. Santa needs to set this thing down and find some relief. Santa's little bottle of tincture Mrs. Claus made him at the North Pole was getting low, and his vape pen had run out hours ago. Oh, no. I love this work, but my lower back has gotten the brunt of this delivery tonight, he lamented, taking the dropper out of the bottle and shaking the last drops on his tongue. Hovering over the town of Diamond Bar, Santa focused in on a basketball court of a very large house in what appeared to be a gated community. Ho, ho, ho! Gates never stopped us, right, Rudolph? Santa said, laughing merrily. Oh. As Santa gently slowed and landed on the court, a man came out of the house wearing his pajamas and a Santa hat. He looked up at Santa and his crew, then down at the fatty burning in his hand. What the H, Snoop Dogg said as he rubbed his eyes in disbelief, wondering if the guy who rolls his joints slipped in a little something else. Well, look who it is, Santa exclaimed. Mr. Dog, of all people. What are the odds? Very pleased to meet you. The elves listen to your music at the North Pole. Gathering his composure, Snoop gave in to the seeming hallucination. Yo, Santa, call me Snoop. Is this really happening? Sorry to surprise you. I tend to do that, Santa replied with a big smile, attempting to reassure the stunned rapper. Thought I had a little something extra in this thing, Snoop continued, offering up his fatty for Santa to partake. The more medicated, the more dedicated, Santa. Thought you didn't pass, Santa laughed, taking the very Lord's jizzoint and inhaling deeply. This is a special occasion, Snoop said, making a gesture for Santa to hang on to it, lighting up another. Two men stood there, looking over the neighborhood at the twinkling lights, partaking individually but together, enjoying the moment. Lower back pain, Santa said. I like to get high, Snoop replied. I gathered that, Santa said with a wink. Thing is, I hate to lecture, but your endocannabinoid system doesn't really give a crap that you just want to get high, with due respect. Like friends with benefits, Snoop said, smiling broadly. Hey, I know it's good for me, but I really do like to get high. All I know is weed makes me feel the way I need to feel. Yes, indeed, Santa said. Even though it's just one night a year, these long rides have really done a number on my back. Ever since we started growing up at the pole, Mrs. Claus tinctures have saved me. The plant does help you feel the way you need to feel. Well said. You grow cannabis at the North Pole, Snoop asked, not believing what he was hearing. Well, the elves, it's the elves, really, Santa continued. Someone brought home a clone, and the rest is history, as they say. We just enjoy the gleaning. You know, many of the children I deliver haven't been helped by this plant. It's a shame some of the grown-ups don't get it. Yeah, the grown-ups, Snoop laughed along with Santa. Some people I smoke with talk too much. They just get in the way. I'm digging the vibe with you, Santa. Glad you stopped by. You shook the crap out of me, but happy to know you. Snoop went inside the house, brought back a joint, rolled into a cross, handed it to Santa. Well, ho, 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 look at that, Santa exclaimed. We know it's God's plan, so this is fine, just fine. Thanks so much. Seth Rogen rolled that one for me. You know Seth? Snoop asked, wondering how many celebs Santa's hung with on Christmas Eve. Why, yes, the actor. Not personally, but I did enjoy that movie, Paul. Jolly good romp that was. E.T. will never be the same in my mind. I'll enjoy this one on the ride for quite a while, he laughed. But who I really want to ask you about, Santa said, is Martha Stewart. What's she really like? I love me some Martha, Snoop said. She gets that contact high, you know. Martha likes to work out in the garden, but I'm on the other side of that. You dig? I dig, Santa laughed, getting back into the shiny red and brass sled, commanding the reindeer to fly. Here we go, Rudolph. On Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, and Blitzen. Santa, that is some nice ride, Snoop said. Where can I get one of those? If the ride is fly, then you must buy, Santa laughed, quoting Snoop D-O-double-G himself. But you can't. This is a one-off, he yelled, with Snoop Dogg watching in amazement as Santa and crew lifted the sled off the court and into the night sky. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a dank night, Santa hollered to Snoop. Until next year. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday. 4 o'clock I get in the studio. 4:20, open a big fat bag of cannabis news, and this Thursday was no different. We had a good time, didn't we? Next time we come back through here, Christmas will be done, and we'll be heading to the new year, 2022. And I'm not the only one probably that notices that the size of a bullet is in the year coming up. You know, I think a lot of us may think we need a bullet, but probably bigger than a 2022. Maybe like a 2044. Feel me? Right after me, Stinky Arts Music Mart. Locals on the 8, Radio Madness, Black Ring Ritual. And man, we did it. We did it strong. How'd you like that Christmas story? Pretty cool, huh? This hour of programming on KRFF, LPFM, Radio Free Fargo, 95.9 FM. It's being underwritten by Flatland Guitar and Luthery. Flatland Guitars, your full-service guitar shop, and your exclusive dealer for Yamaha, Taylor, Paul Reed Smith guitars, and other brands. They have guitars on consignment. They take trade-ins. Have a full-service on-site repair center. Check out Flatland Guitar and Luthery on Facebook, or visit them in person at their location at 1450 25th Street South in Fargo. Shout out Flatland Guitar and Luthery for underwriting 95.9 KRFF. RadioFreeFargo.org is where we're streaming. I'm going to play you a little music. This one is kind of funky. Caress Me Down. It's the Espanol Dub Scientist Mix. So we got a little Sublime. Nothing says Christmas like Sublime, am I right? So here it comes, KRFF 95.9. Oh boy, I got to sleeping. Sorry, y'all. That was Caress Me Down, Espanol Dub Scientist Mix. Welcome back, everybody. Radio Free Fargo, KRFF 95.9 LPFM. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. We're wrapping this thing up every Thursday. Get in here at 4 o'clock. Preceded by Side Stage with Travel 3. Stinky Arts Music Mart, 5 to 6. Locals on the 8. Radio Madness. And then Black Ring Ritual. And then Friday, you got a whole nother batch of variety. This show's brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy. BlackCottageAlchemy.com. Black Cottage Alchemy on Facebook. The body butter is beautiful. You can get it at Tochi Products. You can get it at Odds to Ends. And while you're in Tochi Products, sign the ND for Freedom of Cannabis Act petition. You can also go to Orange Records and sign the ND for Freedom of Cannabis Act. Again, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but January 22nd, they need 31,000 signatures, and the last time I checked today, they were at 10,000. So they need like a lot to get it done. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I mean, I'm also realistic. And like I said, you got to be on a big fat bowl of crack to think that it's going to happen, without a plan to make it happen. So anyway, we keep pushing, we keep advocating. I keep talking about the benefits of cannabis. Educate yourself on the benefits so you can educate others. I hope everybody has a beautiful Christmas Eve tomorrow. I'll be back next Thursday, preceding New Year's Eve. Again, I hope you get everything that you want. I hope at the very least your headspace is in a good spot. And cannabis helps with that. And if you're really feeling tough, hey, maybe you get to check out the thing that rhymes with libel. Because there is somebody that's up in, the man with the plan upstairs. You can't see him, but you can feel him if you ask for him. So if cannabis don't work, maybe give God a shot. And if you want to get really crazy, Antioch Church, Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. He shows up there. He'd be willing to talk to you then. I think I'm going to push out of here. But again, Black Cottage Alchemy is your sponsor for this show. Go get some body butter. It's beautiful stuff. Colloidal silver also keeps the funk away. And again, I'll be back here next Thursday to talk about cannabis in a positive light. And I don't know. I think I'm going to just jump out of here a little early. And so if that's all right with you guys, blow up the phone. Tell me to stay. But anyway, ND for Freedom of Cannabis Act petition is wrapping up January 22nd. Iowa is going. The legislators, they implemented a constitutional amendment. The legislators did to get cannabis legalized. Now that's crazy. And as far as I know, it's the first time legislators have came up with a constitutional amendment option for the people. And they've normally fought that. They've fought it. They've done everything they possibly could to get it off the ballot. As far as I know, Iowa is the only legislative group that's cool enough to introduce a constitutional amendment. So it almost feels like a trick. You know what I mean? Like, what are they going to do? But anyway, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson every Thursday. I'm going to get out of here. It's Christmas Eve tomorrow. And the day after that, I don't have to tell you what it is. So I hope you got plenty of food. You guys are happy. And you're optimistic for the new year. I know I am. Let's get cannabis legalized next year, huh? But anyway, like I said, just educate yourself on the benefits so you can educate others. And just keep pushing. Just don't let them get you down. Cannabis does benefit everybody. I'm yet to see the people dying yet. And until people start dying, if the side effects are only feeling good, candy, you feel good, but then you get cavities, you get diabetes. I know a dude that don't even have any legs because he loved donuts. Feel me? Because he loved the taste of sugar. And the late great Patrice O'Neal, beautiful comedian. It was a sad day when he died, but he liked sugar too much, and he said it. He goes, I know I'm diabetic, but I love sugar too much. Well, come on. Sugar's as legal as can be. We're losing people right and left. Cannabis doesn't kill anybody. So what are we doing? What are we talking about here? So anyway, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Every Thursday I get in here, I talk about cannabis. And so I'm going to do it again next Thursday. I hope everybody has a very Merry Christmas. I'm going to jump out of here. Stinky Arts Music Mart is on deck. Locals on the 8, Radio Madness, and then Black Ring Ritual. So until then, again, Merry Christmas. It's David Allen, Judgment Day. Peace.